Okay, let's start with one school of poetry of the 17th century, which has been named metaphysical poetry. I mean, only later on they called it metaphysical poetry. And there you see how these things come about. I mean, metaphysical, first of all, was meant to be derogatory, insofar as those poets were meant to be over-ingenious, okay, intellectually pretentious, by coming up with ingenious ideas which make no sense whatsoever. I mean, so this term was coined in retrospect, okay, for this sort of poetry of the first, say, 20, 30 years of the 17th century. What those poets have in common, I mean, most of them, or all of them, they use the so-called metaphysical conceit. And we have to know what this is. This is a sort of comparison. Yeah? We have the famous definition by Helen Gardner here. A conceit is a comparison whose ingenuity is more striking than its justness. So bringing things together which we would never combine, and then probably we realize, well, it's not that stupid after all. Example, John Donne, and I don't want to do this poem because it's always been done. The Flea. He wrote a poem about a flea, and he compares the flea to a marriage bed where they have sexual intercourse. Okay, the flea and the marriage bed are made comparison. And I mean, in a way, I mean, that's the last two things we would put together. But after having read this poem, we realize, I mean, yes, probably it's made perfect sense, because, I mean, the flea has bitten her and bitten him, the speaker, and the blood is mixed there, and this is exactly what they would do in a bed. Okay, and so he wants to convince her to have sexual intercourse by comparing looking at the flea, and says, come on, what the flea just did to us is just what we would do if we had sex. So it's already been done in the flea. Here we go. I want to say is, it's over-ingenious, yes, in a way it is, and this is what we call the metaphysical conceit, and this is one striking feature of metaphysical poetry, as much as they have sort of loose forms most of the time, yeah, and yeah, sometimes even colloquial, or make a lot of micro and macrocosm. We'll come to these things. Okay, the major proponent is this one here, John Donne, a clergyman, John Donne. He is certainly, up to the present day, the major metaphysical poet, okay? The major metaphysical poet. He wrote this poem, The Flea, which I've just talked about. I don't want to tackle the flea, I want to do something else. I mean, I want to do the sun rising, yeah, by John Donne. But in order to make sense of that, we first of all have to look at one topos here, and this is the so-called Aubade. A topos, a genre, a mode of writing, whatever it is, but an Aubade, or Alba, whatever you want to call it, in German, Tagelied. This is a poem where usually something happens. Two lovers have spent the night together, their sexual union is illicit, therefore they have to part in the morning, and the Aubade is a lamentation because these lovers have to part. And the sun, of course, is their main enemy, because the sun makes them part. The sun rises, okay, and therefore they have to part. I mean, the most famous Aubade in world literature is that one here from Romeo and Juliet, Act 3, Scene 5, where Romeo and Juliet have spent the night together. Romeo knows if he's found in Juliet's rooms, he's going to be executed, most certainly so. And therefore they negotiate. I mean, was it really the lark? Yeah. It was the lark, the herald of the morn, because the lark sings in the morn. Yeah, and so Romeo says it was the lark, and Juliet says no, it was the nightingale, because the nightingale sings at night. Juliet wants him to stay, and therefore she wants to convince him that it's still night. Romeo knows it's already morning, and therefore he has to go. And this is what this Aubade is about, this negotiation. Yeah? Look, love, what envious streaks do lace the severing clouds in yonder east. He sees the sun already, yeah, the dawning of the sun. Night candles are burnt out, the stars have disappeared already. Okay, and jocund day stands tiptoe on the misty mountain tops. I must be gone and live, or stay and die. This is what Romeo says. And Juliet says, yon light is not daylight. I mean, no, this is no daylight. I mean, this is just, I know, it is some meter that the sun exhales to be to thee this night a torchbearer and light thee on thy way to Mantua. Therefore stay yet, thou needst not be gone. And so on it goes on. Yeah. So this negotiation trying to stay together by completely misreading Juliet, the signs of the morning. But Romeo knows they are the signs. But in the end he says, okay, if you want me to stay, I had the most pleasant night of my life. I mean, I will stay and I will die. And then she sends him away after all. Okay, this the Aubade, the Tagelit. Important thing is, it's the lamentation about having to part in the morning. And please, world literature is full of these things. Millions. Okay, no, I don't know millions, but thousands at least. Okay, particularly in medieval times, but later on, even in modern pop music. Well, loads and loads of modern pop music, this situation. Oh yeah, but that's a different seminar. Okay. There is a sun rising. Okay, so the situation is the two lovers are in bed and the sun is rising. And there is the proper Aubade we expect. Okay, and what it starts with is an appellation of the sun. Okay, he chides the sun. Busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou thus through windows and through curtains call on us? Must to thy motions lovers' seasons run? Saucy pedantic wretch, go chide late schoolboys and sour apprentices, go tell the court huntsman that the king will ride, call country ants to harvest offices, love all alike, no season knows nor clime, nor hours, days, months, which are the rags of time. Well, what a great image. Hours, days, months, the rags of time. I mean, what he basically does, and look at it in detail, he says, I mean, son, we are not answerable to thee here in bed. Okay? Why do you come? I mean, do thy job. Wake other people, not us. Okay? You may wake up schoolboys or people who go on a hunt, or something like this, or wake up the ants in the forest. But our love doesn't know any time. It's timeless. We are here. Okay? So, son, forget about it. We are not going to part. Okay? Yeah, that was the first stanza. Thy beams so reverent and strong, why shouldst thou think I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink? Why do you think you are so strong? I close my eyes and you're gone. You're gone. Okay? I could eclipse them and cloud them with a wink, but that I would not lose her sight so long. Oh, there's a drawback. So if I close my eyes, because I don't want to see you, I can't see my lover anymore. Shouldn't do that. Okay? If her eyes have not blinded thine, look, and tomorrow late tell me. Okay, there is this thing. Your eyes, the eyes of the lady, as suns themselves, brighter than the sun. And he says, I mean, if she looks at you, you will be blinded, not the other way around. Okay, so if her eyes have not blinded thine, look, and tomorrow late tell me whether both the Indias of spice and mine be where thou left'st them, or lie here with me. Ask for those kings whom thou saw'st yesterday, and thou shalt hear, all here in one bed lay. What basically this is all about here is he creates, and this is that's what the metaphysicals usually do, this microcosm, macrocosm thing. Yeah? Our sleeping room here, with the two of us, is a world in itself. It's a microcosm. Just as much as the macrocosm is out there with all these things which he just enumerated. I mean, kings and all these things. Yeah? And the Indias, so it means the West Indies and India proper. Spice and mine. I mean, all these things, the world, it's just, immaterial, because we have our own world here. Our microcosm and the macrocosm may be ruled by you, son, but not our microcosm here. Okay? Okay. She's all states and all princes I. And here we go, microcosm. Yeah? I'm all countries and she is all potentates. Fatty. Yeah, that's it. Nothing else is. Princes do but players. Compared to this, all ours is mimic, all wealth alchemy. Thou, sun, art half as happy as we, in that the world's contracted thus. Thine age asks ease, and since thy duty be to warm the world that's done in warming us, shine here to us, and thou art everywhere. This bed thy centre is, these walls thy sphere. Okay, and now the ingenious thing in the end says, since we are the perfect microcosm, the perfect, if you like, counterpiece, the embodiment of the macrocosm, you may just as well shine for us only and circle our room, because, sun, you're old. I mean, there's, by the way, that's a heliocentric world picture, the sun circling the earth. Yeah, okay. So, sun, circle us, and you can save a lot of effort, okay? And forget about the world outside. So, indebted to the Aubade, argument is clear. I mean, the argument is, come on, we are a closed sphere, if you like, here, a microcosm. For us, everything that counts for the world outside, wealth, alchemy, what have you, yeah, power, hasn't got anything to do with us. We are just here, okay? We're just here and stick together. Okay, in our own microcosm. Okay, let's read it once again in its entirety, that you know now get to realize. So the speaker speaks and directly addresses the sun, and calls the sun old fool. And you see very much what's very typical of metaphysical poetry: unequal line length, very flexible meter, very flexible rhymes. But still perfectly rhymed, of course. Yeah. Busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou thus through windows and through curtains call on us? Must to thy motions love a seasons run? Saucy pedantic wretch, go chide late schoolboys and sour apprentices, go tell court huntsmen that the king will ride, call country ants to harvest offices. Love all alike, no season, no nor clime, nor hours, days, months, which are the rags of time. Thy beams so reverent and strong, why shouldst thou think? I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink, but that I would not lose her sight so long. If her eyes have not blinded thine, look and tomorrow late tell me whether both the Indias of spies and mine be where thou left'st them, or lie here with me. Ask for those kings whom thou saw'st yesterday, and thou shalt hear all in one bed lay. She's all states and all princes I, and nothing else is. Princes do but players. Compared to this, all honours mimic, all wealth alchemy. Thou, sun, art half as happy as we, and that the world's contracted thus. Thine age asks ease, and since thy duties be to warm the world, that's done in warming us. Since here to us, shine here to us, and thou art everywhere. This bed thy centre is, these walls thy sphere. Okay. You see how colloquial it is. Yeah? That's brilliant. It's perfectly rhymed, but it reads like prose. Great poet, Donne. Okay. Great poet. We'll go on. We have another poem. Next video.